Well, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to our Blue Star Careers webinar. Welcome, November. Thank you to all of you who are here today supporting and watching. Thank you so much for your future comments, which are not there yet, but I know I look forward to your comments, but also to share with us where you're watching from. We love to be able to send you a shout out. Today, this particular month, we are celebrating a veteran and military spouse owned business awareness month. The entire next couple of weeks is all about veteran owned businesses, but also we have included military spouses as well. So as you know, we are all about military spouse as well empowerment. And then the second half of our month, we're also going to be acknowledging and supporting more awareness and celebrating National Family Caregiver Month. So please join us. We have a lot of great content to share with you in the Blue Star Careers neighborhood. Today, I'm honored to welcome a trailblazer from our community who is not only a fabulous military spouse employment champion, but also a SOFA expert and an honorable representative of the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. I'm talking about Beth Conlin, who will share with us all about the Chamber military spouse entrepreneurship experience and also why perhaps military spouses can support their career pathway via small business ownership to support their portable military life. So please post your comments, your questions, ask us anything. If we cannot respond to you at that moment, we'll ensure to go back and make sure that you are being directed where you need to go. And of course, get all the support that you need But most importantly, meet me in the neighborhood because that's where all the activities, but also all the resources, and we're building a very easy on hands-on experience, a low trouble, basically, media center where it has a bunch of different resources that are easy accessible. So no matter where the military takes you, you have access to all of this. All right, let's get started. Well, hello, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome back. We are diving in today all into a very interactive discussion about a small veteran and military spouse owned business since it is Awareness Month here at Blue Star Careers. We have, of course, a great trailblazer and contributor to our community, Beth Conlin. Welcome. Thank you so much for all of your support. And if you would like to please introduce yourselves, although I don't think you need an formal introduction, but for those that might not be familiar with your great work, please tell us about you and all of the great connections that you have with the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce and beyond.
Oh, thank you, Laura. For those of you that don't know, Laura and I used to work together a couple years ago. So every Blue Star Careers engagement to me is like a little mini homecoming, and I love it so, so much. But thank you all for being here, for your questions. Please throw them in the chat. I will try and answer them on the fly in this video, or I will respond back to you, or like Laura said, come back later, and I will make sure that you have all of the answers that you need. But I am Beth Conlin, and I am the board chair of the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. And I am excited today to share with you what it is, why you need to know about it, and all of the great benefits that are tied to it. I have been an advocate in military spouse workforce development space for over a decade. I specialize on the nuances around the status of forces agreement. So anybody going overseas, having any questions, call me up. I'm happy to help you out. We have spent over a decade just in a haze of lack of clarity around the status of forces agreement. And I am happy to share that things are much more clear and transparent now. And I'm happy to point you in the right direction for that, whether you're taking your business with you overseas or you are trying to gain employment in the private sector. Happy to talk to you about that. But today it's all about the chamber and small businesses and what you need to know to sign up to become a member or register your business. So I'm happy to chat about that with Laura and anyone that has questions.
Awesome, thank you. Now, I know that you yourself, previous also, or and currently as well, independent contractor for some time at some point. So, but share with us a little bit more in, what has been that career changing moment in your trajectory as a military spouse?
Oh man, that's a good question. So honestly, I have done it all. I've worked for big Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 2 companies. I've 1099. I currently have my own business and work for Amazon, so I have done it all. But truly, what changed it all, and this is going to sound a lot more simple than it is, but hear me out. When I stopped hiding that I was a military spouse, that changed everything for me. And what I mean by that is I spent a good 5, 6, 7 years just, fudging on my resume, deleting locations so that employers wouldn't ask about it. When they say, what brings you into town, I would be like, oh, we just moved here for a job, right? We all do it, talk around it. Once I decided to lean into it and say, hey, listen, I'm a military spouse, it means I'm going to move. So I need to know, Mrs. Employer, if you're going to be able to support somebody who's got a nomadic career like myself. And just removing that shield and owning my status as a military spouse wasn't going to change. So I just decided to lean into it. And that truly was a moment that changed my trajectory professionally. It allowed for a lot more transparency. And then it also sort of gave me the courage to lean into becoming a 1099 contractor when I couldn't find work and make that successful, and to starting my own business because I had, worked across so many industries and done so many things that I knew I had a special skill set that I wasn't going to be able to leverage anywhere else. So if you are questioning whether or not you should disclose your status, I say absolutely, because then you can get certified as a military spouse-owned business. And then I also say absolutely to let those employers know what kind of a gold mine they've hit when they're hiring you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. The moment you start hiding some of those, very personal, but also very, it is your identity. You just cannot, you cannot hide it. You cannot disassociate from it. I think life gets a little bit easier in the marketplace, and you just, you can create a little bit better, more productive career trajectory. So thank you for sharing that. Now, how did you get involved with the chamber? How did this all came about? I remember that beautiful cover, the beautiful page where it was all announced, and it was just very, very uplifting to see what a great program and group, but also really great identity for military spouses that you guys were building. So, walk us through how did this all came about for you
So
guys?
the birth story of the chamber is actually kind of interesting. So I mentioned that in my other life I've been a national advocate on military spouse employment for about a decade. So with that hat on, the then Chief of Staff of the Army, General McConville, his wife Maria McConville, wanted to put together a toolkit for military one source on entrepreneurship. So she collected myself, Stephanie Brown of the Rosie Network, and Jamie Chapman O'Bannon. And the four of us we were building this toolkit. We were getting resources together. We were spending hours in Google Docs just editing and creating this toolkit. And this was all during COVID too. So we're all just at our computers working together. And at one point, Stephanie Brown says, and I will never forget this, she said, there really should be an entity that can verify if you are a military spouse owned business, just like there's a veteran owned business, a women owned business, minority owned business. And in that conversation, I said to her, well, clearly there is, right? Because why wouldn't there be? And in that moment, Stephanie, Jamie, and myself were like, well, if we build it, they will come. And so that was August. That was August of 2021. And by January of 2022, we were launching, we were off and running. So we just put our heads down for 6 months. We used the same standards of qualification that the veteran chambers use, so that we knew we had a high bar for qualification, so that nobody could question, is this really a military spouse owned entity or not? We went out into the private sector. We talked to funders and donors and supporters and explained the value of what having military spouses in their sort of diversity pipeline as a supplier would mean. And so we were able to get some sponsors on board to help us out. So it really came from a small working group and Stephanie Brown just saying, there really should be an entity to certify this. And then we built the chamber. And I'm happy to say the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce is coming up on, I think, our 4th birthday. We have over 4,000 members, which puts us in the top 2% of all chambers of commerces for size. So we are a rapidly growing entity. And I'm happy to talk a lot more about what does that mean to be a member? What does that mean to get certified? If there's any questions about either of those along the way, feel free to let me know as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Wow, 4,000 plus members. That is incredibly, and congratulations on the fourth anniversary. Uh, shall we expect a nice big virtual party? I mean, and hint, we love parties, right? Who doesn't
Yeah, yes, I
celebrate?
would say
Yeah.
stay tuned for the spring. We have a big engagement coming up this spring.
Awesome, great. Now, for those who may, because I often hear a lot of military spouses, especially sometimes we get through our careers program, we get a lot of 1099 um, jobs or engagements sometimes that we also sometimes help and promote some of our partners. But can you share with us some of those benefits that might be some military spouses may be unaware that the chamber offers? Is there a cost? What's the membership process? How do I just get involved and become part of those 4,000 plus members?
Yeah, great question. So, the Military Spouse Chamber is a forever free chamber membership, and we can do that thanks to our sponsors. And so there's sort of like two levels, if you will. One, you can go to milspousechamber.org and sign up to be a member. You don't have to own a business to sign up to be a member. But that's a great way. Let's say you're hiring and you're looking for a graphic designer. Once you have a membership, you can then search our database of graphic designers. Or let's say, you need a caterer for an event somewhere. You can go in and search our database for catering. So your general membership just gives you access to the entire database of our military spouse owned entities. Certifying your business, that's the next part. So whether you are a solopreneur, a single person shop that does it all and wears all the hats, or you are a small business with 3 to 5 employees, or you're a small business with up to 500 employees, we can certify you as military spouse owned. There's a rather detailed checklist on our website that, again, like we said, we have a very high bar for our standards so that at no point anyone can question us and say, are you sure they're military spouse owned? That is also free. So there's sort of two parts to it. The entirety of your membership, it's free forever, whether you are a member or a certified entity. When you are either one of those, you have access to free educational benefits. So let's say you're an employer and you have 2 employees, and you, as a benefit, you would love to help them with some college or even their kids with college. You have access to free educational benefits for you and your employees. You have access to a variety of insurance programs. You could do like a pooled insurance through the chamber that's sort of like a co-share. We have special networks and discounts with very specific providers that you can access for your retirement, health insurance, life insurance. Then we also have opportunities for you to market to the private sector and to the government. As a military spouse owned business, you will be also entered into what's called Supplier IO. Supplier IO is one of 2 of the largest supplier diversity verification systems. And that's what AAFES uses, that's what DoD uses, that's what Disney, CVS, AT&T, like all of the largest companies, when they are looking to outsource, maybe legal support, maybe a CPA, they can go into Supplier IO and search for diverse suppliers, military spouse owned being one of those options. So you'll be exposed to a lot more B2B opportunities. And then on top of all of that, we do a couple of boot camps every year about getting your business started, how to access funding, how to get into the procurement game, whether you want to sell to the private sector or government. And then you will also have access to the 13 chapters that we have stood up across the country if you want some in-person engagement. So your membership, whether you are a certified entity or a member, is a forever free membership to help support and grow your business.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing and breaking it all out down for us, because I don't think I was aware, or I didn't think about, for instance, that you mentioned you want to hire a contractor, you want to hire as well as a graphic designer or just someone to just some light touch work. This is a great way for you to be able to support and advocate for military spouses employment, but also veteran owned or military spouse owned just businesses and providers. So this is really cool. And I'm so excited that you have great partners that allow you to keep this membership no cost, because that is huge. I think when you are starting as a small business owner, sometimes at the beginning we don't think about that, but the fees, the smaller fees, start to add up, and before you know it, the business just could be costly at some point. But I'm glad that you guys cover that. Now, I was referring earlier today, sometimes here through our program we get those 1099 contract to work options for members. What tips from your experience, as from the chamber perspective, what tips can you share about this journey? How can this complement a career trajectory for a military spouse? And you yourself have done this already. Any tips or tricks that you can share with some of us who just take the 1099 and we ask no questions about it?
Yeah, I think so. A 1099 is a great way to ensure you are not giving away your expertise for free, right? All of us have that special skill set. And what we often do is we volunteer it, which no harm, no foul. That's great. We all like to help out. But at some point, it's important that you understand that you're volunteering this for a reason, because people need that skill set or that service or that person power behind it, right? So taking on a 1099 contract, whether it's for a project or a short-term engagement, or even if it's for kind of a long-term as needed, is a fantastic way to ensure you are being compensated for the skills that you bring to the table. I would not shy away from that at all, especially if an organization is seeking volunteers. Ask, is there an option for this to go on a short-term contract? It's a great way to supplement your income. It's also a great way to build your resume. And then maybe, just maybe, throughout that 1099 process, once you have seen value in your own skills, maybe that's the kickstart that you need to actually start your own business with that thing that you're doing, because you're already being paid for it as a contractor. So why not, put a name on it, join the chamber for free, get all the resources you need to get your business started, and see if you can't expand on those skill sets and kind of turn that into your own business. So it's a great, it's like a gateway drug for anyone that's curious about entrepreneurship. It's a great way to dip your toe in the water, test it out. It can be temporary. It's what we call a two-way door. It's something you can do and then walk away from. But it's also a great way to enter into the world of small business ownership if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for breaking it down to us like that, because that is really, really great. I think many of us, or I think I've heard sometimes from some members, when they're presented with the 1099 sort of option, they're like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to be an owner or consider a self-contractor. But there's so many advantages as a small business owner that you can, especially when you're starting out, that you can take advantage. And I'm glad that you guys have all those great resources to contribute and to support that. So thank you. Um, Now back to the chamber. What are some specific future projects that you guys have going on? And I also noticed that, you can talk about this. You guys have some chapters. You have some active chapters that you have designated, and they do their own activities. So can you talk to us about that, future projects, but also the chapters and how that works?
Absolutely. So our future projects, we always have our eye on, more partnerships and more engagement. And so right now in the spring of 2025, we will be having a Mill Spouse Chamber Summit. So stay tuned for more details on that. We are hoping to bring together literally a one-stop shop, a 1.5 day, maybe 2 day event that's got all of the resources you need. Our members are always asking us for three things. They're asking us for money, mentorship, and marketing. And we will bring all three of those things to you, so that you can get all the questions asked that you have, so that you can get all the support that you need, and then get connected with the right people to help you with that money, mentorship, and marketing. So stay tuned for that. The other part of this is we did launch local chapters last year, and this actually started in Florida. We had sort of just like a pocket of business owners in Northwest Florida that we realized were all in the same spot. So we tested it out, doing an actual chapter in Florida where we had a big group of people. And then we also tested it out in Fort Irwin, California, which is a super remote area. So we sort of did a cluster of businesses in a more remote area just to see, does this model work? Turned out it worked great. Our Northwest Florida chapter is super engaged. They do a ton of activities there locally. They're really tight with their local chamber and the local businesses in town. They did an event at a Lamborghini dealership, and they had it catered by a military spouse-owned catering company, and it was just a raving success. So since then, we've branched out, and we have a Camp Lejeune Dallas, DC, Fort Irwin, Fort Liberty is our newest chapter. Fort Stewart, Northwest Florida, Northwest Illinois, Phoenix, and Riverside, California. So if you are near any one of those locations, you can go to the millspousemchamber.org. There's a local chapters tab. You can just click on that and click the drop down and be connected. If you are not near any one of those, but you are interested and you want to stand up a chapter near you, you can email us at hello@millspousechamber.org. And we'll talk you through what does it mean to run a chapter? What does that look like? What resources are available? And we'll help you figure out if that's the right thing to do. And then we'll help you get started if that's something that you want to do.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I think this is a really good way for also small military spouse owned businesses getting involved and leading a chapter can actually strengthen and solidify their business and their business virtual print or local print in the area, because they can also expand perhaps some some local collaborations and business transactions with other peers. But most importantly, I think is just advocate and support each other. I think that's what I love, the whole concept of chapters and chambers and all these great stuff with small business ownership, because it's super, super creative way for you to get involved and to build those connections. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. I did have a question here from, I'm watching our different platforms, but I have another one in here. And if you have been out of do you guys offered, here's what I'm telling you, if you have been out of the workplace and you decide to do your own business, is that something, or that you guys have video library that you can support with that? So the question is kind of like, do you guys have help or process to work that out for
Yeah,
us?
if you're thinking like maybe I should start my own business, but I'm not sure where to start. Yes, absolutely. Just at millspousechamber.org, we have a ton of resources for that exact same thing. And a lot of it actually is asking yourself the right questions, right? Like, have you seen demand for whatever it is that you're trying to do? Do you know the market size? And if the answer to those things are no, that's totally fine. We can walk you through how to get to yes, or maybe even if the answer is still no, then maybe that's not the right direction for you. But bottom line, if you are business ownership curious, the chamber has a ton of resources for you to sort of help get that question answered for you and then help get you started. Another thing about the chamber that I forgot to mention that I think is probably the most important is that being a part of the chamber is being a part of a community that makes change. And what I mean by that is legislators and lawmakers are coming to us often and asking, what are our challenges? What are our obstacles? And so if you are still an active duty family and you PCS, you can now get reimbursed for transferring your business ownership license across state borders. That is thanks to the chamber. So that was in one of the NDAA, I think, last year. There are a number of bills on the floor right now. They'll have to be reintroduced with the new Congress if they don't get passed this time. But they're all around access to capital at the state level. They're all around requiring any sort of state or federal contractors to start with veteran military spouse 8A owned businesses first. And all of that is possible because of the advocacy work of the chamber. So it's not uncommon for us to send out a survey and ask, what are the things most important to you right now? So then we can take that to lawmakers and legislators and say, our community needs access to capital. What can we do together with the Small Business Administration to make this happen, right? So
Right.
there is some really mountain moving initiatives that this community of change makers makes happen just by being a part of the chamber.
Awesome. This is so great. Thank you for responding to that. And I do have another one right here on our digital. If I am overseas, can I run my business? And I'm glad that they asked this, because I've been curious about this. And I think I've always pitched this to some members in our community. Is like, if you're going overseas, think about you becoming a contractor or negotiate with your employer to make you a contractor. And maybe that's how you can start working. But you being a SOFA expert as well, and a military spouse chamber of commerce, tell us, what are
Yes.
the do's and don'ts of owning a business overseas,
Yes. So
being
the answer
self-contracted?
The answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can take your business with you. And there's a couple of things to consider. This is what I'm going to walk you through is relatively the same regardless of where you are. It just might be different who you contact. So at every installation, you're going to have to fill out a home-based business form, basically, that says, what is your business? If you sell something, what is it? And like, who do you sell it to? Do you sell it to the local economy? Do you sell it on post? Do you want to sell it at the PX or the exchange? If you don't sell anything, and you provide a service instead, what is that service? So you just have to articulate what it is you're doing. Then in the Army, you would take that to the MWR office. That's where it's going to be different. Based on your branch of service, you will take it to like your employment office, and then finish sort of following the steps there. And then depending on your business, if it's operated, like we have a lot of business owners that work, they own like a little boutique and they work at the malls on post. So that sort of follows one set of guidelines. We have other business owners that actually offer services out on the economy. And so that will then require you to sort of get aligned with the local taxes in that market. All of that to say, yes, you can take your business with you. If you know what country you're going to, please reach out to me at bethconlin.com, all one word. Drop me a note. I'm happy to share with you the country specific resources that I have for how to make sure you get your business up and running. But don't let a physical move be the thing that stops you from starting your business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for asking that question, member from our community, because that is such a great way to perhaps renegotiate or just keep that productivity going while you are overseas and be able to stay actively employed or self-employed, and be able to have great activities. I'm going to share my screen real quick, Beth, so that I can ensure that everyone knows the right military spouse chamber of commerce. Sometimes we go online and we just search, but to ensure that you know where you need to land. So, and then this is all the chapters Beth was talking about. If you are near those, go ahead and start and join. But most importantly, I think the best way is always just join the mailing list and set up job alerts, right? And start your membership. That's all you got to do. Start your membership and start growing your career trajectory, because yes, this is also a career path. When you do self-employment, when you run your own business, it is considered a career. So don't feel like you're completely just because you are not under somebody else's umbrella or somebody else's is not like doing a direct deposit. If anything, I think small business ownership, it's a lot more empowering. It gives you a lot more freedom for you to really drive and create and just foster a little more of your own creativity and own your story a little bit better. So
Yep, absolutely.
right,
Agreed.
that's perfect. All right, so let's get ready to mindful of your time as well, and because I know you have like 5,000 different things that you're doing, and I want to be mindful of your time. But I would like to ask you, just to close up, what tips can you share with others who are hesitant about launching their business? How did you came out of that hurdle, that thinking about, no, I don't think I want to deal with the taxes or the 1099 situation, or just in general being not counting with that direct consistency of a paycheck? Any tips on how to get over that?
Yeah, I would say so. When I launched bethconlin.com, this was years in the making. And honestly, here's what happened. I got sick of giving up my expertise for free. I spent a decade becoming an expert on SOFA, and I will happily talk to any military spouse that has questions. Absolutely. But I was consulting with private companies and DoD for free on how they should navigate the status forces agreement. And I just got sick of giving up my time for free. And I think we all should have that mindset. Your time is very valuable. So I would challenge you all to be sick of giving up your time for free, and see if there's a way for you to turn that, again, start with a 1099, dip your toe in the water, see if that works. And there's also about the taxes and the things that seem scary and overwhelming. There is a wealth of resources at the chamber, milspousechamber.org, but also at your state's chamber, your local chamber, that can help sort of clarify all of those things for you so it doesn't seem like this insurmountable task. And we also have, through our MilSpouse Chamber portal, we have tax professionals. You could seek them out. That are always happy to answer questions or provide consultation on what you should do. So you don't have to go at this totally alone. It also doesn't have to be a huge investment to start your own business. It can literally just be you saying, all right, I'm going to buy a domain name, or I'm going to create a Facebook page, or have an Instagram presence, some sort of social media presence. And I'm going to stop giving away my time for free. And then the market will help you figure out what that should look like, how much you should charge, what's in range, all that stuff. So if you're open to all of that and you're tired of giving your time away for free, I encourage you to just go for it.
Excellent. Thank you. Great, great advice. And then before we go, I do want to take a couple moments. Let me send some shout outs to some members who are watching. I want to say hello to Grace. Thank you so much, Grace. For Tara, for Whitney, Jack, Caroline, Katrina. And then we go to our Facebook here. We're going to say hello to Janet, to Lemisa, and to Diana. And then there's a couple of members out here, but just to be mindful, I heard a little click sound, which probably means an email, a notification. Your computer is out of juice. But as we get closer, we close up here, we like to ask as well is what's our call to action for today, Beth? How can we all support you? Like if you're working on a specific goal, what can we do to support you, or the chamber in general? What's our call to action? If you can just tell us.
Simple call to action: go to milspousechamber.org and sign up. Yeah, membership is totally free, forever free. And that will give you access to all the resources that you need. And then your other call to action is to ask the question. If you're not sure if starting a business is right for you, or you don't know where to start, you're never going to get the answer if you don't ask the question. So create your membership and start asking questions. We are here to help.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And then for all of you who are tuning in right now or who are getting ready, you're going to watch the replay. Please post your questions, share your comments. Thank you so much for supporting this. But also, make sure that you are also getting into our neighborhood. Thank you, Trina, for joining and for making a comment. Make sure that you join our Blue Star Careers neighborhood community, where we are building a media center, resources. We have right on the spot support. That is one differentiator, that if you send the Blue Star Careers admin a message, you'll get response within that same day or 24 hours. That could be watching or reviewing your resume. That could be asking about questions about your job opportunities or starting your business. We may not even solve the problem right on the spot, but we definitely will give you the direction you need to go. And that is key and very important for us through the neighborhood to be able to take care of you right away. So, how about that, huh? Well, thank you so much, Beth, for sharing with us this great research, but also enlightening us with great opportunities to know more about how, small business ownership, celebrating with you, future 4 years with the chamber. But most importantly, to be able to go and activate our membership and celebrate the rest of the month, small business ownership, and just in general, being more aware of great things that can complement our career trajectory. So thank you so much for celebrating with us.
Thank you. Thanks,